I was packed into the middle seat of a crowded flight, halfway through a bag of pretzels, when the weight of it all suddenly hit me. 31 years old, heading home for Thanksgiving like a kid who still believed family gatherings could fix everything. My name's Logan, and I hadn't been back to my hometown in nearly 3 years. Not because I didn't want to, but because every attempt somehow fell apart, usually thanks to my mother forgetting to tell me plans had changed, or my sister Jenna organizing family-only events that somehow didn't include me. But this year, I wanted it to be different. I'd been buried in long hours at my tech job in Seattle, and I thought maybe showing up, actually showing up, might mean something. Maybe we'd laugh again, eat too much pie, watch bad football, and pretend the last few strained years hadn't happened. So, I booked my ticket 2 weeks early, texted Mom my flight details, and even offered to bring dessert. Her only reply was a thumbs-up emoji. No can't wait to see you, no drive safe, just a floating yellow thumb in silence. I should have known then. When the plane landed, I called her. No answer. I sent a text. Nothing. Figuring she was probably busy cooking, I grabbed my rental car and started the hour-long drive to our old house. I even stopped by a bakery on the way to pick up a pumpkin pie. But the moment I pulled into the driveway of that faded beige two-story with the cracked mailbox still labeled The Carters, I knew something was wrong. No cars, no lights, no smell of turkey or cinnamon, nothing that hinted at Thanksgiving. I rang the doorbell out of habit more than hope. No response. I tried the handle. Locked. I called again. Straight to voicemail. "Hey, Mom, it's me. I just got here. Where is everyone?" My voice cracked a little, and I hated that it did. I left the pie on the porch and drove around the block, thinking maybe they'd moved and forgotten to tell me. But there were no cars, no signs of life, just that still, heavy quiet that presses on your chest. Eventually, I ended up sitting in a parking lot, scrolling aimlessly through my phone for nearly an hour, waiting for someone to text back. Nobody did. Finally, I gave in and called Jenna. She picked up after 2 rings. "Logan, why are you calling?" Her tone wasn't irritated exactly, more confused, like I'd interrupted something. "I'm at Mom's house for Thanksgiving. Where is everyone?" She went silent. I heard faint laughter and clinking silverware in the background. "Oh, right," she finally said. "We're doing it at my place this year. Didn't Mom tell you?" "No," I said slowly. "She didn't. I just flew all the way here." "Well, we figured you probably wouldn't come. You're always busy with work and everything." "I told Mom I was coming," I said quietly. "Yeah, well, it's kind of late now. We already ate." That hit harder than I expected. I pictured them all sitting around Jenna's huge dining table. Mom, Dad, my brother Mason, maybe a few cousins, laughing like I'd never existed. "You could have texted," I said, "just once." She sighed. "Logan, don't make this a big deal, okay? We'll see you at Christmas." I hung up before she could say anything else. The next 2 days, not one person called. Not Mom, not Dad, not even Mason. I stayed in a cheap motel off the highway, watched reruns of shows I didn't like, and tried to convince myself it didn't matter. But it did. It mattered because it wasn't just about being left out. It was about being forgotten. On the 3rd morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Hey, sweetie, quick question. Jenna's baby shower is next month. It's $500 per person for the venue, catering, and decorations. You're paying, right?" I just stared at the screen. No sorry about Thanksgiving. No explanation. Not even a "how are you?" Just a demand for money, as if the last few days hadn't happened. I laughed out loud, the kind of laugh that sounds half crazy. I texted back, $1,500 for what? A royal wedding? She replied instantly, "Don't start. It's your sister's special day. Everyone's contributing. Family supports family, Logan." That line, "family supports family," was her favorite. She used it when she borrowed from my savings for Mason's first car, or when she guilted me into covering their mortgage one month until Dad's bonus came through. I used to think it meant loyalty. Now it just meant we take, you give. So I opened my banking app, sent her exactly 50 cents, and added a note. Good luck. 2 hours later, my phone exploded. Calls from Mom, then Jenna, then a group chat titled Family Loving. Messages flooded in. "Are you serious? Don't be petty, Logan. Mom's crying. You're so ungrateful." I didn't reply. I muted the chat and went for a walk. That night, around 11 p.m., I got an email from my bank. Someone had tried to access the old joint account I'd shared with Mom years ago, the one I'd left open for emergencies. My stomach dropped. I logged in. There were small pending transfers, like someone was testing limits. Then another alert popped up. Mason had tried using the shared family card for a $700 baby shower deposit. Something in me snapped. Years of being overlooked, used, treated like a walking ATM. It all hit at once. I sat there in silence and started closing every shared account. The savings, the family card, even the streaming subscriptions I'd been paying for since college. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. Cold, overdue clarity. By the time I finished, the only link left between us was my phone number. Even that felt temporary. I shut my laptop, turned off my phone, and slept better than I had in months. The next morning, pounding on my motel door jolted me awake. Not knocking, pounding. "Logan, open up!" It was Mason, his voice muffled but furious. "I know you're in there!" My heart raced. He wasn't supposed to know where I was staying. Then I remembered. I'd left location sharing on in the family group chat. He pounded again, harder this time. "You think you can just cut us off like that? You owe us an explanation!" I stood there, barefoot on the cold carpet, realizing this wasn't about family anymore. It was about control, and I'd just taken it away. I didn't open the door right away. I just stared at it, listening to his anger. It wasn't the voice of someone hurt. It was entitlement. He wasn't mad that I shut him out. He was mad that I stopped letting him in for free. "Logan," he barked again, followed by a loud thud that rattled the cheap wall art. I finally cracked the door open a few inches. Same face I'd known all my life, same smug grin, but now there was a hint of desperation. "You shouldn't be here," I said. "Yeah, well, Mom's freaking out. You froze her card. She couldn't even pay for gas last night. What's your problem?" "My problem?" I almost laughed. "You mean my money, Mason? You've all been using my accounts like they're family property." "Because they are," he shot back. "You always said you'd help if anyone needed it. Mom counted on that. Now suddenly you're too good for your own family?" "I'm the one who's been paying for everyone else since I was 21, I said. "How many times has anyone paid me back?" "That's not the point," he muttered. "Yeah," I said quietly. "It never is when you're the one taking." He glared, shifting like he wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. "You humiliated Mom with that 50-cent stunt," he said finally. "She cried all night. Jenna called me. She's pregnant, by the way. Maybe show some respect." "I know she's pregnant," I replied. "And if you think I'm paying $500 for a shower I wasn't even invited to, you've lost it." Mason's face twisted. You don't understand what Mom's going through. She's stressed. Dad's been distant. Jenna's hormonal. And you? And me what? Working? Paying my own bills? Not begging people for money?" He exhaled sharply. "You've always thought you were better than the rest of us." That one stung. Not because it was true, but because that's how they always saw me. Not as someone who worked hard, but as someone who thought he was above them for doing it. When he finally left, I sat on the bed, staring at the door. My hands were shaking, not from anger, but from exhaustion, like I'd finally hit the wall I'd been running toward for years. I remembered being 17, getting my first grocery store job, saving every dollar because Mom said, "We're all struggling right now, Logan. Once things get better, we'll pay you back." I believed her. And somehow, 20 years later, nothing had changed, except now I was the one keeping everything afloat. Later that day, I drove around town to clear my head. The sky was gray, that strange November mix of rain and snow. My phone buzzed again. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. Then came a text. "You've really disappointed me, Logan. Family doesn't turn on each other like this." I almost laughed. Family doesn't turn on each other unless it's convenient. A few hours later, sitting in a coffee shop, I saw Jenna's latest Facebook post. A photo of her cradling her baby bump, surrounded by pastel balloons and cupcakes. The caption read, "Can't wait for my special day. Family means everything. #blessed, #grateful." Right below it, a comment from Mom. "So proud of my beautiful daughter. You deserve the world. Some people forget where they came from." That last line, it was aimed right at me, and she knew it. The thing about family manipulation is that it's rarely loud. It's quiet, coated in sweetness, hidden in phrases like, "We love you, but," or "You've changed." My mom had mastered it. She could guilt you with a smile and make doing what's right feel cruel. That night, I called Dad, hoping maybe he'd see things differently. He answered after a few rings, voice tired. "Hey, son." "Hey, Dad. Look, I'm trying to understand what's going on. Why is everyone acting like I committed a crime for not paying for Jenna's party?" He sighed. "You know how your mom is. She just wants everything perfect for your sister. It's her first baby, after all. And Thanksgiving? Nobody even told me it wasn't at the house." He paused. "That was a miscommunication." "Miscommunication?" I repeated. "I sat outside an empty house for an hour, Dad. Nobody even texted me." "I told your mother to call you," he said softly. "So it's my fault again?" "No, I didn't say that." I could hear the weariness in him, not just tiredness, but defeat. My dad was the type to confuse peacekeeping with peace. But staying quiet only let people like Mom and Jenna run unchecked. "Dad," I said finally, "I can't keep doing this. Every time I help, it turns into more. And when I stop, I'm the villain." He didn't respond right away. "Just talk to your mother, okay? She loves you." That was it. I hung up, feeling like I'd just been told to apologize for existing. The next morning, Mom texted again. "We're coming over to talk this out." I didn't reply. 3 hours later, there was a knock. Softer than Mason's, but somehow heavier. When I opened the door, there she was, same tidy hair, same perfume she'd worn since I was a kid. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hi, sweetheart." "Mom," I said flatly, "can we come in?" She glanced back. Jenna was with her, wrapped in a white coat, one hand resting on her belly like it was a prop. I hesitated, but stepped. The moment they entered, Mom scanned the motel room like it offended her. "You're still staying here? I thought you'd pick somewhere nicer." I'm not here for a vacation. She set her purse down, folding her arms. Logan, this has gone too far. I don't know what's gotten into you lately, but you can't just cut off your family. Mom, I didn't cut anyone off. I stopped being used. Jenna rolled her eyes. Oh, please. You act like we're stealing from you. You are stealing from me. I said, those accounts were for emergencies, not baby showers, not gas, not fancy dinners. Mom's smile faltered. We're family. Family shares. Then why didn't family share Thanksgiving with me? That shut her up. She paused for a moment before saying softly, you know how your sister gets when she's organizing things? It wasn't personal. It always is, I replied. Jenna rolled her eyes. You're just upset you weren't the center of attention for once. That stung. You think this is about attention? I'm just tired of being the only one who gives anything in this family. Mom's expression tightened. Logan, you're always so dramatic. You make everything about money. Do you even realize how cold that sounds? That word, cold, stuck with me. I'd spent years helping them, covering bills, buying gifts, sending money. But the one time I stopped, I became the cold one. Mom, I said quietly, I flew across the country to see you. You couldn't even text me where dinner was. That wasn't a mistake. That was deliberate. She looked away. You're twisting things. No, I said, stepping closer. I'm finally seeing things clearly. For a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Maybe guilt, but it vanished as quickly as it came. You always overthink everything. Just send the money, and we'll forget this ever happened. I let out a dry laugh. You really think that's how this works? Don't be cruel, Logan, she snapped. Your sister's been through enough. I turned to Jenna. You could have called. You could have told me about Thanksgiving. You could have invited me to your baby shower like anyone else would. But instead, I get a bill. Her jaw tensed. I didn't think you'd care. You never come home anyway. Maybe because every time I do, it feels like I'm not wanted. Mom stood up abruptly, closing her purse. Fine. If that's how you feel, I don't know what else to say. But remember this, Logan. Family always comes first. Always. She said it like a warning, then walked out with Jenna behind her. Silence filled the room. I could hear faint traffic outside and the soft creak of the motel heater. My chest felt hollow. I thought that was the end of it, that they'd leave and let me be. But that night, I got a text from an unknown number, a photo of my childhood home, lights glowing inside, with the message, "You'll regret what you did today." I stared at it for a long time, the phone's light reflecting off the window. For the first time, I realized they weren't just angry. They were planning something. The number wasn't random. When I zoomed in on the picture, I recognized the angle and the reflection from the porch light. Only one person could have taken it from that spot, Mason. At first, I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe it was just another guilt trip. But deep down, I knew my family didn't send meaningless messages. Everything they said or did had an intent, to pull me back in. And this time, "You'll regret what you did today," didn't sound like guilt. It sounded like a threat. I barely slept. I sat upright, lights on, staring at my phone, hoping I'd wake up and realize it was just a misunderstanding, that they'd cool off. But when morning came, a notification made my stomach drop. My bank account was locked. I reloaded the screen repeatedly. Same message. Access temporarily restricted due to suspicious active. I tried logging in from my laptop. Same result. Checking, savings, business, everything frozen. After 20 minutes on hold, a bank representative finally answered. Yes, Mr. Carter, we flagged your account due to multiple failed login attempts from different devices, one of them from your hometown. I froze. What? I didn't log in from there. That's what we thought, she said. Luckily, none of the attempts worked, but we locked access as a precaution. You'll need to come in with ID to restore it. I thanked her and hung up, gripping my phone tightly. This wasn't random. Someone had tried to get into my accounts, and it had to be family. I could picture them gathered around the kitchen table, scheming like it was a team project. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. Deep down, I'd always believed they wouldn't cross certain lines. I was wrong. An hour later, my phone rang again. It was Dad. "Logan," he said quietly, "what's going on with the accounts?" And I almost laughed. "You too?" "Your mother's card stopped working. She was at the grocery store." "Because it's my card, Dad. It was never hers." He sighed. "You could have told us before shutting everything down." "Would it have changed anything?" He didn't answer. Then, in a softer voice, "You know your mother doesn't mean to hurt you. She just doesn't think sometimes. Dad, she planned Thanksgiving without me. 2 days later, she asked for $500. Then someone tried to log into my accounts from her house. That's not a mistake. That's deliberate." I heard movement in the background. Mom's faint voice. "Give me the phone." "No," Dad said. Then she shouted, "Logan, we just wanted what's fair. You owe this family for everything we did for you." There it was again, that word. "Owe?" I took a deep breath. "You think I owe you because you raised me? You wouldn't be where you are without us. You act like you're better than everyone, and now you're turning your back when we need you." "When you need me," I corrected. "You're twisting everything again." "Mom," I said, "did you try to access my accounts?" Silence. Then, in that calm, practiced tone she used when pretending to be reasonable, she said, "We just needed to check something. You've got money sitting there doing nothing while your sister struggles. We thought—" I dropped the phone, not out of shock, but anger. My hands were shaking when I picked it back up. "You thought you could just take it?" "Don't be dramatic," she snapped. "It's not stealing when it's family." "Yeah," I whispered, "it is." I hung up before she could respond. I didn't want to hear the usual routine. Guilt, deflection, affection, attack, repeat. But this time, the guilt didn't land. It was gone. That evening, I drove past my old neighborhood, not to visit, but to remind myself why I'd left. The street looked the same, but the feeling had changed. When I slowed near the house, lights were on. Mom pacing, Jenna on the couch, Mason near the fireplace. Probably another family meeting about me. I parked a few houses down and watched as Mom picked up her phone. Seconds later, mine buzzed. Then Jenna texted, "You're being ridiculous. We're family. Come talk like an adult." The same family that didn't invite me to Thanksgiving now wanted to talk. I left. That night, I checked my email and found something that almost made me laugh. An invoice from an event company. Carter Family Baby Shower Deposit. Remaining balance, $3,200. Under bill to was my name. They'd actually put it under my name. I called the company. "Hi, this is Logan Carter. I just received an invoice for a baby shower I didn't book." "Oh yes," the woman said cheerfully. "That's for Jenna Carter's event. Your mother gave us your details. She said you'd be covering payment." "Did she sign anything?" "Yes, she filled out the form and listed your name in the payment section. When the card didn't go through, we sent the invoice to you." I gripped the phone tightly. My own mother had committed fraud. "Cancel that contract immediately," I said. "We can't cancel without the client's consent." "I am the client," I snapped, "and if you process that payment, you'll be hearing from my lawyer." That got her attention. She promised to pause everything until clarification. By then, I wasn't even angry, just tired. The kind of exhaustion that comes after realizing betrayal is deliberate. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about control. Mom always needed to remind me that no matter how successful I became, she could still pull strings, make me small, make me need her. I thought about the years of emotional games, the guilt trips, the fake tears, the manipulations masked as love. But putting my name on a financial document crossed a line that could. I forwarded the invoice to my lawyer, not to sue them, but to have proof. Documentation. 2 days passed. I ignored their calls. On the third day, Mason showed up, this time at my apartment in Seattle. He must have gotten the address from an old form. Through the peephole, I saw him. Tired eyes, clenched jaw, same worn leather jacket. He started banging on the door. "Open up, Logan. We need to talk." I didn't move. "I know about the baby shower thing," he shouted. "You didn't have to make it legal. You're going to ruin everything." Silence. Then he said something that made my stomach twist. "You think you're safe? You don't even know what Mom's planning." That got me to unlock the door slightly. "What's that supposed to mean?" He hesitated. "She's talking to a lawyer. Something about the house. About repayment." "Repayment?" "Yeah. She says you owe Dad for college. She's serious about taking you to small claims or something." I stood there speechless. Mason rubbed his face. "Look, I didn't come to fight, but you made her mad, Logan. And when she's mad, she doesn't stop." He turned to leave, but added, "You might want to check your credit." After he left, I checked, and there it was. 2 new credit inquiries in my name. One for a store card, one for a personal loan. Both from my hometown. That's when it stopped being family drama. It became war. Over the next few days, life went on mechanically. Coffee, work, and books, walks. Everything looked normal, but inside, something fundamental had cracked. When I checked my credit again, 3 more applications appeared. Watching them try to destroy what I'd built felt like seeing termites eat through wood. I froze my credit, called the bank, and documented everything. Then I called Adam, my lawyer friend. When I explained, he paused. "Logan, are you saying your own mother opened credit lines in your name?" "Pretty much." He sighed. "Okay. Save everything. Texts, emails, login attempts. Don't delete anything. If she keeps this up, you'll have grounds for identity theft." Those words hit hard. Identity theft. It made everything real. That night I sat in silence. I could have blocked them all, erased every trace, but something stopped me. Not forgiveness, just habit. The next morning I woke up to 37 missed calls. Most from Mom, some from Jenna, a few from unknown numbers, probably Mason again. I ignored them all until one final text came through. "You've always been the selfish one, Logan, even as a kid. I should have known you'd turn out like this." No punctuation, no emoji, just that. It hurt more than I expected. Maybe because it revealed what she'd always believed, that I wasn't a son, just a source. That night, I packed a small bag and drove with no plan. I ended up on the coast, hours away, renting a quiet Airbnb above a seafood restaurant. The ocean air helped. I walked along the shore, phone off, letting silence fill the space where chaos used to live. Stillness hurt at first. You think you want peace, until it forces you to face every buried thought. I thought about childhood, about how Mom used to say, "Family takes care of each other," whenever I brought home a paycheck. How Mason wrecked my car, and she said, "Don't make it about money." How Jenna got a new MacBook while mine was still fine. I remembered wiring $4,000 to help them when Dad's hours were cut, and no one even said thank you. When I finally moved across the country, Mom said, "Don't forget where you came from," as if leaving was betrayal instead of survival. It hit me that I'd spent my life auditioning for a family that never really wanted me, unless they could gain something. The realization wasn't freeing. It was heavy, but final. I stayed by the coast for days, eating quietly, walking docks, avoiding calls. I told no one where I was. On the third night, my phone rang again. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Logan," Dad's voice, strained. "Your mother's not doing well. She says you're trying to destroy the family." I closed my eyes. "Dad, she tried to open credit cards in my name." He didn't respond. The TV buzzed faintly in the background. "I don't know what to say," he finally muttered. "You know how she gets. Maybe if you just apologize." "Apologize for what?" I cut in. "For whatever she thinks you did." I almost laughed. "Dad, do you hear yourself? She's breaking the law, and you want me to apologize?" "She's your mother," he said quietly. "Yeah," I whispered, "and I wish that meant something." We hung up without goodbye. After that, I went quiet. Not numb, just done. The part of me that kept hoping they'd change finally stopped reaching back. That's when I started planning. Not revenge, just control. I called Adam again. We legally separated my finances. I changed every password, froze credit, switched numbers, and closed anything they could reach. Then I wrote it all down. Every incident, every message, every manipulation. It started as a list, but turned into pages. Reading it back made everything undeniable. It wasn't random, it was a pattern. By the end of the week, I decided I wasn't going back. Not for Christmas, not for the baby shower, maybe not ever. Still, guilt lingered. That voice in my head, whispering, "What if they're right? What if you really are selfish?" Even when you walk away from toxic family, the emotional leash doesn't snap easily. On the 5th day by the ocean, I got one last text before turning my phone off for good. It was from Mason. "Mom says she's done trying. Don't bother coming back. No threats, no guilt, just finality." And for some reason, that hurt the most, because even after everything, they still found a way to make silence feel like punishment. When they finally said they were done, it felt like I'd been cast out of something that was meant to last forever. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, listening to the sound of wind and waves, thinking about how families were supposed to be a place of safety. Mine had turned into something that trapped me. Still, beneath the ache, a small spark began to form. Determination, maybe even purpose. They believed cutting me off was punishment. They expected me to crawl back like before. What they didn't see was how much I'd already lost, and how ready I was now to protect the only thing I had left, myself. That was the night I quietly began forming the plan that would change everything. When it was over, they would finally understand what it meant to lose something that couldn't be replaced. The morning after Mason's last message, I woke before sunrise. For once, there wasn't dread sitting on my chest. The coastal air felt crisp, sharp. I watched the ocean turn gold as the light shifted, and something inside me finally moved. Maybe it was calm, maybe resolve, but I knew I couldn't stay trapped between anger and guilt any longer. That same day, I drove back to Seattle with one goal: to rebuild. Not just money, but myself. I wanted a life so steady that no one could ever shake it again. When I pulled into my apartment complex, everything felt strangely new, like I was entering my own life for the first time. The guilt still lingered, faint but present, yet I saw it for what it truly was: a leash they'd tied around me long ago, and I was finally done being led by it. The first step was practical. I got a new number, changed my email, replaced every card, and upgraded all my accounts to the highest security level. Then I called Adam again and told him I wanted to take legal action this time. He helped me file a formal identity theft report. I didn't do it expecting anyone to arrest my mother. Honestly, I doubted it would go that far. I did it because I wanted something official, a boundary. After that, I focused on work again. For years, I'd been coasting, good at my job but never really pushing myself, always pulled away by family chaos and guilt that wasn't mine to carry. But now, I had silence. I had space, and I didn't waste it. I worked as a software consultant, not flashy, but steady. I built a reputation helping startups with infrastructure and back-end systems. I had loyal clients and enough income to live comfortably. But that December, I decided to take a risk. I started my own company. I called it North Node Systems, a quiet reminder of the direction I wanted my life to go. At first, it was just me in a small co-working space downtown, but I worked like someone possessed. 12-hour days no longer felt draining. They felt meaningful. I poured everything, the pain, frustration, bitterness, into that grind. Every long night wasn't just about success. It was about taking back control, proving to myself that I could stand completely on my own. I learned everything: business structure, taxes, automation. I worked hard, took on bigger clients, and within 6 months, I had enough contracts to hire 2 part-time developers. By the 8th month, the company was profitable. Somewhere in that process, I realized I wasn't thinking about my family anymore. Not like before. I wasn't checking for texts or scrolling through social media to see what Jenna posted. I didn't flinch when holidays passed without a single message. Instead, I spent Christmas skiing with coworkers and New Year's on a rooftop downtown. It felt strange at first, celebrating without them, but freeing too. I laughed more that winter than I had in years. When tax season arrived, I hired a real accountant, not my dad's friend from church. When she saw the old joint records, she raised an eyebrow. "You had your family tied into this?" she asked. "Not anymore," I said. She smiled. "Good. Keep it that way." By spring, North Node had landed a major client, a logistics firm in Chicago. That deal changed everything. It wasn't just money, it was legitimacy. Suddenly, I wasn't just a freelancer. I was a founder, the kind of person my family used to mock me for wanting to become. I rented a proper office downtown, glass walls, modern furniture, a whiteboard full of goals. When I walked in that first day with my small team, I couldn't stop smiling. Then, one morning, I got a call from an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something made me answer. "Hi, this is Patricia from Evergreen Financial. I'm calling to confirm the address for your new business line of credit." For a moment, I didn't understand. "My what?" She repeated, "Your business line of credit, applied under North Node Systems." My chest went cold. I didn't apply for that. She hesitated. That's odd. It has your name, EIN, and company info, but a different contact number. She emailed me the paperwork, and when I opened it, my stomach dropped. The signature said Logan Carter, mine. But the email domain was northnodedeckconsultingfamily@gmail.com. There was only one person who'd think that sounded legitimate. My mother. It was almost impressive in a twisted way. She'd found a new angle, not my personal accounts this time, but my company. After months of building independence, she was still trying to pull me back down. But instead of breaking me, it made me sharper. I called Adam and sent him the document. He whistled. She's escalating. You could sue for damages. I don't want to sue, I said quietly. Not yet. Then what do you want to do? I want her to stop believing I'm still the kid she can guilt into cleaning up her messes. And that's when I started preparing. Not for revenge, for protection. I opened new accounts under the company's LLC, moved leases and security systems under the business name, registered trademarks, everything. By summer, we'd expanded to 8 employees. I even hired an intern from UW who reminded me of myself. Quiet, serious, eager to prove himself. Mentoring him was surprisingly fulfilling. Teaching someone who wanted to learn was the opposite of trying to please people who only took. Then came the email that reminded me how far I'd come. Late July, Thursday evening. Subject, Family Reunion 2025. It was from Jenna. I shouldn't have opened it, but curiosity won. Inside was a pastel flyer for a summer family event with fine print reading, "All expenses covered by Logan." I laughed, genuinely laughed. Below was a message, "Hey Logan, Mom says you're doing great, so we knew you wouldn't mind helping cover costs. It's not much, just around $3,000. Let's heal as a family." They hadn't changed at all, but this time I had control. They couldn't touch my accounts or guilt me anymore. So instead of replying, I forwarded it to my lawyer with one line, "Add this to the file." That summer was the best of my life. My company doubled in size. I bought my first home, a small, modern place with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline. Not luxurious, but peaceful. I started working out, learned to cook, made new friends who didn't care about family drama. When my accountant later sent my projected earnings, I stared at the number. It wasn't the money that moved me. It was what it meant. Independence. Still, I wondered what my family would say if they saw it. If they realized the kid they dismissed had built something real. I didn't have to wait long. A few weeks later, an envelope arrived. No return address, but I recognized my mother's handwriting. I opened it. "Logan, I heard about your business. Congratulations. I hope you'll remember who supported you through those years of school. We're planning something important for the family. We'll talk soon." No apology, no warmth, just entitlement dressed as grace. I folded the letter and placed it on my desk. That's when I knew it wasn't over. 3 days it sat there, a reminder of how easy it would be to slip back if I let emotion win. Then my accountant called. "Logan, did you authorize a tax inquiry from an external party?" "No." "Why?" "Because someone tried accessing your IRS records, claiming to represent your business." I didn't need to ask who. The letter, the timing, it all lined up. She wasn't congratulating me. She was positioning herself. I called Adam again. "I want to protect everything I've built. Legally, financially, publicly." He smiled through the phone. "So you're ready to play chess, not checkers." For 2 months, we built walls, LLCs, trusts, management entities. I even hired a PR consultant to make North Node look like a community-focused firm instead of a moneymaker. By October, I was practically invisible on paper. Then, poetic timing, Jenna posted a family vlog showing her new baby, pastel nurseries, and at the end, our mother saying, "We're so blessed now that Logan's finally giving back to the family." I stared at the screen. It wasn't just a lie, it was deliberate. They were spinning a narrative. So I called Nate, an old cybersecurity client. "Can you trace where certain loan applications came from?" "If you've got the paperwork, I can," he said. 2 days later, I had proof. All fake applications traced back to my parents' home IP. That was it. I wasn't pressing charges yet, but I wanted consequences. I reached out to an event venue owner from the baby shower fiasco. She remembered me. "Your mom was persistent," she said. I asked for copies of the deposit paperwork. There it was, her signature beside my company's name. Fraud, in black and white. I drafted a letter. "Dear Mother, I've become aware of several financial documents using my name without consent. I'm giving you a chance to retract any false claims before I escalate legally. Warm regards, Logan." 2 weeks later, Mason texted, "Nice move. Mom's furious. You think you can scare us?" I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because I'd already taken the next step, a public one. I pitched a story to a local business magazine about breaking free from financial control. I didn't name names, but everyone knew. The article blew up. Thousands of shares. By the time Mom called, she was furious. "How dare you humiliate us? Everyone knows you meant us." "Maybe if it didn't sound familiar, you wouldn't be so upset," I said. "You think money makes you untouchable?" "No," I said quietly. "Boundaries do." Then I hung up. That was the last time we spoke. The fallout was fast. People in town whispered. Her reputation cracked. Jenna's channel went quiet after backlash. I didn't celebrate. Revenge didn't feel like fire. It felt like peace. Watching what they'd built crumble under its own lies. A month later, North Node launched a scholarship fund in my grandmother's name, the only family who ever showed me kindness. When a journalist asked why, I said, "Because she taught me that love doesn't come with a bill attached." That quote went viral. Weeks later, another envelope arrived. One line inside, "You've made your point." For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just distance. Clean, quiet distance. But peace didn't last. In March, a voicemail came from Dad. "Your mother's in trouble. Someone reported her for credit fraud." It had caught up to her. She was under investigation for identity theft. "She says you ruined her life," Dad said. "No," I replied softly. "She ruined her own." She eventually took a plea: community service, restitution, and a permanent record.
Dad called again, tired. "She wanted me to tell you she's sorry, though she still doesn't understand why you went this far." "Because she never understood how far she pushed me," I said. "She never thought you'd really leave." "I didn't leave," I said quietly. "I escaped." Months passed. North Node grew into new cities, launched mentorship programs, and invested in young founders. Every success felt like quiet proof of freedom. Eventually, I heard my parents had sold their house to pay fines. Jenna lost her partner. Mason was working long hours just to keep them afloat. Sometimes I wondered if they ever sat around that new kitchen and realized I wasn't the villain. But even if they did, it didn't matter anymore. A year later, I booked a solo trip to Mexico. No calls, no obligations, just me. The morning of my flight, my assistant handed me a small envelope. No return address. My mother's handwriting. Inside was a single line. I see your grandmother's name everywhere now. You made her proud. I smiled, not because it fixed anything, but because maybe, for a moment, she finally understood. That everything she tried to twist into weakness had become my strength. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I walked out of my office, suitcase in hand, the city alive around me. For the first time, I wasn't running. I wasn't chasing approval. I was free, completely, finally, and undeniably free. And as the elevator doors closed, I remembered what she always said. Family supports family. She was right, just not in the way she meant. Because in the end, the only person who truly supported me was me.